saying that because at one point he was the CEO of the Sixers. He's done many, many good things. So let's cut right to it, Adam. You got, $5 billion in debt.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I got to do the good morning thing. You got $5 billion in debt. Can you solve it? That's a lot of debt.
I would like to think so. AMC has proven quite adept over the past year at raising capital. One of the reasons that we have survived this horrible pandemic so far is we raised $2.8 billion of cash and got another $1 billion of concessions from lenders and theater landlords. And that's put us in a position to run our business going forward with some degree of confidence. 5 different times during the last year, we were close to running out of cash because our theaters were all closed and we had no revenues. But we raised money to survive, and we're back operating as normal companies operate. And let me just tell you talked about good morning. Let me tell you what good morning means in America these days. The combination of vaccinations and new movie releases. Godzilla vs. Kong opened last night. It's a movie about apes. In the world of meme stops, apes a good thing. Maybe it's an omen. Our attendance last night was about 10 times what it's been all the other Wednesdays so far in 2021.
Geez,
we can look ahead.
But at the same time, you got a stock. It's up 380%. I don't know, Adam. I mean, this is a good opportunity to sell a couple 100 million shares, isn't it?
Well, look, I want to be careful.
Well, it's national distribution. This is where you do it now. It's not the Times. It's here.
Yeah, well, dilution is something we care about, but I would also tell you that we are formally asking for approval from our shareholders to authorize another 500 million shares that the company could issue if it wishes. There are a lot of benefits to our shareholders of having more authorized shares out in the market. We'll be sensitive to dilution issues. At the same time, though, there's an opportunity to bolster our cash reserves. There's an opportunity to buy back debt at a discount. There might be an opportunity to defray some of our deferred theater rents, settling with stock instead of with cash. Maybe there's some merger and acquisition opportunity where we could buy other companies inexpensively using our stock as a currency. There are a lot of good reasons for shareholders to give us the authority to have more shares.
Isn't it time to buy back
in our toolkit?
Don't we buy back the 6 3/8 of 11/15/24 that are trading at 36? I mean, that's a great piece of paper right now if you're going to do 500 million shares.
We are very well aware that we could buy back debt at a discount, and that in itself would be accretive and generate profitability for AMC and increase shareholder value for our shareholders.
All right, if you get that money, is it time to play hardball again? I mean, Black Widow, Cruella, I don't know. If I can go to AMC or I can go to Disney Plus, I don't know. Disney Plus is a lot of fun to watch at home, even though I love the popcorn, I love the social distancing. I mean, can you, if you get the capital, can't you say to these guys, you know what? Look, we're not playing by your rules. We're open, and we want those with a 6-week, no, with a 2-month exclusivity.
Well, look, I think one of the biggest benefits of AMC being the largest exhibitor in the world is that we have a seat at the table, and we're in active discussions with movie studios all the time. We consider them our partners in this ecosystem of the release of movies. We've been discussing Windows policies for years. Some of those discussions are very easy. Some of those discussions are heated, as you say. There was a lot of drama around theatrical windows starting last April. That continued this January and continues apace. But as I said, we've got a seat at the table because we're an important player. And so far, we've been able to reach agreement with studios on mutually agreeable terms, what we think are good terms for the studios, but also, very importantly, good terms for us and for AMC shareholders.
Adam, I don't want to belabor this point, but Jim's question is so key. Black Widow, among some, was seen as a bit of a large tell about the window because they held their cards earlier in the year. Then they finally push it back 2 months. But as Jim says, you can get it at home. And a lot's been written about the fact that Disney didn't really do exhibitors any favors. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, I'd rather not comment publicly about what Disney is doing or isn't doing, or what their strategy is and what their strategy isn't. I will tell you that Disney and AMC, as two companies, have been very close partners for decades and decades. I expect to be very close partners with Disney for decades and decades to come. I'm not worried about the competition from the home. Godzilla versus Kong was available at home on some streaming services, and almost 250,000 people were at our theaters last night, just in the United States alone, on a Wednesday. That's a good omen. People, if this pandemic has taught us anything, people want to get out of their houses and their apartments. And going to a movie theater is something that people have done for more than a century. It's a cheap date. It's a cheap night out. And it's a very nice break from being cooped up in where you live 24/7.
I couldn't agree more, Adam. To me, it is the date. I mean, the dinner, I got a restaurant, but the date is to go to the movies. Now, you have you talk about partners. You have a very interesting partner in the people who are on Reddit at Wall Street Bets. And I know that you earlier said that you find it so appealing about the Reddit phenomenon is the affection and allegiance that Americans have across the country. And you really point blank say that it's really terrific that millions and millions of people rally behind saving AMC. So I don't know. I think they could rally behind 500 million shares.
Well, look, Jim, Save AMC was a hashtag that was trending on Twitter as the single most tweeted hashtag one of those days in January. Look, there are a lot of things going on with the so-called Reddit phenomenon, but I think one of them is there are a lot of people out there who have an affection for AMC, who did not want to see hedge funds short our stock and try to force us into bankruptcy, and they stood by our side, and we appreciate that. And now as we go forward, we want to run this company right. These people are now our shareholders, and we want to do what's best for our shareholders, increase long-term shareholder value. And as you said, one of the smartest ways we can do that right now is increase the available share count at AMC and then use those shares wisely, not over the next week and the next month or even the next year, but over the next 5 weeks and 5 months and 5 years, 10 weeks and 10 months and 10 years.
You read my mind. Last question. I felt the shorts were trying to just drive you out of business. I thought the shorts were taking the stock down, creating some level of fear, and then making it so that the bonds rolled over, making it hard for you to be able to raise money. You hit upon what I think was actual truth about the shorts.
Look, I do. There clearly were people who were campaigning to force us to run dry on cash. Once you get in this cycle of approaching insolvency, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. And most companies who get in that zone wind up having to file. By contrast, because of the confidence in AMC and our future by retail investors, we sold over $800 million worth of stock in December and January alone. And we raised a lot of money. We bolstered our cash reserves. And we, as I said in a press statement in mid-January, we took near-term imminent bankruptcy completely off the table. Now, with vaccinations moving at a very brisk pace, with new movie releases coming, with people coming back to theaters in quantity again, as was the case last night with Godzilla versus Kong, and will, we think, be the case with other new movies that are released in April and May and June and July. Look, we've got a brighter future.
All right, I just want to be sure. There's a little ticker that said there was $500 million. I thought I heard 500 million shares.
My experience is that Jim Cramer is never wrong, and you are correct.
Okay.
We have asked our shareholders for approval for 500 million new shares to be authorized. That doesn't mean we'll use all those shares right away, but it does give the company optionality and flexibility. And optionality and flexibility when you're navigating these uncharted waters of the pandemic are very good things.
Well, I want to congratulate you. I know it was 5 times. Fabulous article in the New York Times about you. You are a fighter. The only thing I'm bummed about, you gave me no Churchill. How about you gave me no Churchill, Adam?
I did in the middle of the dire times when we were tight on cash on an earnings call, as you're alluding. I quoted the famous "We'll fight them on the beaches" Churchill speech, saying that AMC was in a wartime mentality. We were not going to let hedge funds or short sellers take us out, and we were going to go throw everything that we had at saving AMC, and we think that's exactly what we've done. Now, we're not totally out of the woods yet. We still need more vaccinations to come. We need more movies to be released. We do need to see a return to normalcy in the United States.
Right.
But as we look ahead, we think the odds are much better that will be the outcome.
Well, I want to thank Adam Houdini Aaron, who has piloted, and people should read this Times profile. A lot of people would have given up. You not only took on the shorts, but you just are going to be the winner and maybe even the last man standing. Have a great time in Florida with Jeff Sonnenfeld this weekend.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys.
Back to you, Carl.